Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nerdy Pastor. Pastor Ross Turner here. Just an encouragement again, if you're enjoying this channel and you've not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that. It helps us to know who's benefiting from this and build a community of like-minded believers. So wanted to pick back up today, given that we just had All Saints Day, Reformation Day on Sunday, on the 31st of 2021. Thought I would do a quick book review of, and again, this is less of a review, more of a commendation of good resources for the Reformation and for the Reformers, and to try to keep it brief without it being too light on the book recommendation. So not a huge review of any kind, but just commending books to you regarding the Reformation and the Reformers that I find very helpful in my own studies and my own research, among many others in the area of the Reformation and the Reformers and the great traditions that come out of that in the church. So wanted to pick this series back up, and we will continue some other series this week as well. The American Presbyterians series, I'm going to be picking that up later this week, Lord willing, though it's very busy this week for me. And then also hopefully next week we'll continue with the Reformed Theology series, as we've dropped that one off for a little while. I need to pick that one back up and pick right back up, of course, with the doctrine of sin of all places. Some challenging stuff there to talk about. So we'll be doing that hopefully next week. So for a quick book review series and a commendation of Reformed and Lutheran and Reformation texts and resources, I'll just start with a couple books that I found helpful as biographies of the Reformers. The first one is the famous, probably the most well-known in the sense of longevity, recent biography by John Calvin by T.H.L. Parker, is of just this one right here. It's called John Calvin, a biography, and I just finished this one actually recently. It's very good, though Bruce Gordon has another one that just came out. I have not got to that one yet, but I do have it. And of course, there's many others that are older also that are helpful. But I think T.H.L. Parker really updates the entire biography of Calvin and brings all the scholarship up to date at the time that he wrote this some time ago, but it's still very relevant, it's still very important. Again, Bruce Gordon, I think, has been very well commended for his recent biography. Just haven't got to that one myself yet, so I'm not going to recommend that one just yet. Another great book on the theology of John Calvin, and I'll commend a couple resources to you, is first of all, Randall Zachman, well-known Calvin scholar, has this pretty user accessible writing on the shape and writing of Calvin's thought, called John Calvin as Teacher, Pastor, and Theologian. And these are just short articles really on Calvin in the sense of the person, the ministry, and as a thinker and pastor. And they're very helpful and very insightful, and they're kind of all over the place. So depending upon what you're studying, very helpful to read one of his articles to supplement what you're doing. And then I think you got kind of a must-have if you are reading John Calvin, is of course the Calvin Handbook, which is edited by Herman Selderhaus, and it looks like this. And Calvin kind of doing his patristic thing here, and pretty fun edition. And it really, like most kind of edited versions of kind of handbooks of thinkers or movements, is it collects all the great thinkers and scholars in this area and allows them to write various articles on them. I found it to be very helpful in my studies of Calvin to supplement both the reading of the Institutes, his commentaries, and of the books in his biography as well. Secondly, for Luther, there's an incredible amount recently, but I kind of lean back to the older biography that I've recommended on the site before. Of all the biographies of Luther out there, the one I have found so provocative and helpful as a historical and critical biography is the one by Heiko Oberman, the medieval Renaissance scholar that wrote this book called Luther, Man Between God and the Devil. And again, one of the most acclaimed biographies on Luther of all time. So I would recommend you getting that. It's not a hard read, really, at all. It's fascinating, and it's very dramatic. It's like a documentary, a dramatic documentary, docudrama, as we would say today. A recent book that came out that was put together by Robert Kolb focuses specifically on the Word of God in the thought of Martin Luther, which is really fascinating. And he puts together, a whole lot of good stuff called Martin Luther and the Enduring Word of God. And this is a really good by Baker. I got it actually on sale for like $10. Pretty amazing. Really good supplemental work to go over the way that Martin Luther understands the Word of God, and it's fairly complex actually. So a very helpful tool in that. And then lastly, kind of again, the end all be all of scholarship, at least right now, and probably for a very, very long time moving forward, is this dictionary, reference dictionary called Dictionary of Luther and the Lutheran Traditions. And I notice it's plural there. So again, this is comprehensive, not just of Luther, but also the Lutheran traditions, of course, carried on by Melanchthon and Chemnitz and others forward out of the reforming periods of Lutheran thought through the Formula of Concord and on into modern day. And that is just, I actually use that reference book probably at least once a week. That's how vital it is to understand Luther and the Lutheran perspective on many things. So I really find that very helpful. And then a few other small books that I think, not small in the sense of their weight, but small in the sense of the focus. They narrowly focus in on one aspect of something, whereas these other dictionaries are fairly broad in their approach. But I would just want to commend one, this outstanding volume called Reformation Worship. I think New City Press did it, yeah, or New Growth from New City Press did it, and it's a really a theological commentary on the liturgies of the Reformation. It contains a whole lot of information about liturgy from a Reformation perspective, and it contains a whole lot of liturgies historically from the Reformation that are appendicized in the back. And it's fascinating stuff. It includes Roman Catholic, Lutheran, Reformed, Anabaptist in some respects. It also has the Reformed churches. It's got the Calvinist churches. They all developed kind of at the same time. So the Reformed and Calvinist, yes, but develops in kind of the Presbyterian shoot. Then the Reformed kind of goes to the Dutch Reformed and others, and of course the Lutheran backgrounds. And it's really, really interesting. It also has lots of the Reformers specifically, their liturgies, and it's a fascinating text. And I love the introduction, and I think it's by David Gibson, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Jonathan Gibson, not David Gibson, but Jonathan Gibson helps write the forward and talk quite a bit introductory about Reformation worship. It's extremely fascinating. And then a few other things to commend. Again, these are just works that have reformational or reformer focuses. But if you have not gotten any of Martin Luther's works properly, the American edition, as put out by Concordia Publishing House, CPH, has been putting this out for a very, very long time alongside Fortress Press, which is the more liberal publisher of the Lutheran Church here in America and beyond. But of course, if you do not have Luther's commentaries on, Galatians or Romans here, just keep track of them, and sometimes they come on sale. I think I got this one for $25, but pretty good price for his commentary lectures on Romans. But I've got quite a few of his works back there. But just track along, and you can get some of his primary works right there. And then Reformation Heritage just came out with a republication of Henry Bullinger's Decades. And again, these are all of his theological loci, his themes that he writes on. And if I'm correct, there are 50 chapters of it. But really fascinating. I think both of them together were combined for $75 on sale. I just recently got it, so I haven't looked through a whole lot of it just yet. But it's a really good price for what you're getting. They're cloth bound. They're really nice books. And it's a major reformer to check in with. So again, for Reformation Day, just thought I would throw some good resources out there for you. You've got a couple reference books from the Reformed and Lutheran backgrounds, Calvin specifically, of course, and Luther and the Lutheran tradition. A great reference on Reformation worship. A number of recent publications or current publications by different publishers that are printing the reformers themselves and their writings, primary sources, along with some other good, helpful things like Zachman and Kolb, kind of authorities, many major authorities on Calvin and Luther in their own right that need to be consulted as we study the reformers for the Reformation and, Lord willing, the ongoing Reformation in the church today. So I hope this is helpful. Hope these books are good opportunities for you to kind of go search out there for what's out there and check in with some of these great sources for further reforming of the church.